You got me overthinking. Yeah, what we could be. Needed some clarity. I'm in too deep now. Can't help but picture fantasy.
Hello everyone, I hope you can hear me. It's Dr. Jack, and I'm in my closet. I'm getting ready to do my makeup. And so I thought I'd just hop on and do a little chit chat. Hadn't been on in so long, and there's a lot that has happened in my life. One of which is my closet. I've gotten my closet redone, and I have my makeup situation in here, my little vanity area, and I'll show you. I'll do a closet restoration or remodel video later. But on this one, I'm just going to chit chat a little bit, let you know what's has been going on with me as I do my makeup. Right now, I'm just putting on my little eye cream. I'll pop it up somewhere around here somewhere so that you can see what the products are. I already washed my face, and so I'm now prepping it for the makeup. And then, putting my serums, all the things. Face got to be moisturized. You got to, do all the things before you put the makeup on. And I'm not doing a lot of makeup, but this is what I do every day. So I am putting on my serum. It's got to have the skin prepared and ready for the makeup application. So I'm getting ready, just putting on a little makeup because it's Saturday, March 21st. And when hubby gets back, he and I are going to do Saturday things, whatever that entails. Just got to be ready for any and everything. I've washed my face, double cleansed, and it looks like I have makeup still on. But anyway, and I'm having a beverage. This is Better Goods cinnamon apple ginger, I think, or something like that. I'll put it up here. But anyway, it's not just because it looks good. It's good for gut health. Anywho, so now that I've got my face together, got it prepped and almost ready to go, I thought I'd hop on and talk a little bit about what's been going on with me in the last, I guess it's been about 8 months, right? So a lot of things have been going on since I last posted an update, my VSG update. And that is, VSG is VSGing. It's doing what it's supposed to do. But I had an injury back in earlier this year, like around, I don't know, early this year, like in February or March. In addition to that, with my new position, I don't know if I told you about that, but I got a promotion on my job. And so everything just changed, and it took a while for me to get back into my routine of working out. Didn't have as much remote work as I had before. And so it was just difficult. And, for me, if I'm not working out and exercising regularly, my fitness journey kind of gets derailed. And I have gained, because I couldn't work out due to the injury and the fact that, my job just had me doing different things. And so I was, not eating on a regular schedule like I was, and just, snacking more because I got to eat on the run and just grabbing whatever I could grab, not making any excuses, just telling you that's just really what it was. I picked up about 10 pounds over the last year. And my goal right now, since I'm kind of back into that mode of, really being conscientious, my goal is to get those 10 pounds off and get back to where I was. That's it. And that would put me about 4 pounds from my goal. But my first goal is to get those 10 pounds off, and then get all of the weight off that I want to get off. But other than that, I feel good. And I am nowhere near where I was. Okay. May not be where I want to be, but I'm nowhere near where I was. Thank God for that. So I'm just kind of letting this dry a little bit before I start. So Yeah, that's been going good. Now, what I like to do, the way I do my makeup, and you know, this is the way I do my makeup. I know others may not do it this way. It works for me. If you saw my birthday vlog, you saw that I did go and get my makeup professionally done for the first time in life. I don't want to knock this camera over. And I have a new camera, by the way. This is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Yep, loving it so far. But yeah, but I went and got my makeup done professionally, and it was really a beautiful experience. I liked it. Some of the things that she did, I don't necessarily do on a regular basis, but hey, you know, I can try some things, do some things differently. But the way I do my makeup, I start off with my concealer, my under eye concealer, and I'm still using the same under eye concealer, the Kevin Aucoin. And so what I probably will do is not tell you all the products. I'll just put them on the screen, perhaps, if I can remember to do that. But yeah, so I'm just going to put the concealer on first, and I usually just start like right here where my glasses sit. I have those dark little spaces and under eye darkness. So I'm just going to put it there. And you know, honestly, I don't try to cover up all of it because that darkness is kind of like a built-in or a natural liner. So I don't really worry about doing all of that. And I put a little bit here, so on and so forth. But yeah, life has been doing what it do, you know. It's been rolling along. I just celebrated my 56th birthday and really was just so happy to be alive. As I told my husband that morning, I said, you know what? The day is the gift. Just being alive, just being able to open my eyes and see the world. That's the gift. But I did get some actual gifts, and I don't have them all in here with me, but I got gift cards and Apple Pays and, you know, Starbucks cards and just all kinds of sweetness for my birthday. I also got some fragrances. So when I was in New York a few weeks ago, I picked this up as a gift to myself. The Le Labo tuberose. It's supposed to be the scent of New York, and got my name on it and everything. So I got that. It smells really good. I love it. It has like a rosy smell. It smells really, really good. I don't know notes. I'm not the perfumer who knows all the notes. I'll put the notes on on the screen. But yeah, got the Le Labo tuberose. I got another. If you saw my TikTok video, I got another thing of Kirky because my Kirky was the one that I have. It's just about all gone. I have just, I don't know if you can see, just a drop in there, not too much. This is probably one of my favorite everyday scents. I truly, truly, truly love it. What else? I got the Mind Games Leonora. And hold on, my daughter's calling. 1 second. Oh, I'm so sorry she had to do that. You got the hiccups. Oh. And she has a lollipop right now. Oh. Okay. Foundation. Mom, I was just calling to see what time you wanted to do Eli's hair today. The email? I did. I got an email to verify my email and do more. So. But you still should be able to. Let me look at it too. The referral link. Did that. You verify your email address. Did that. You keep the extension enabled with full permission on your primary browser for the trial period. We can talk about her too. Yeah. But I'm recording a video. So let me. No, you're fine. You're fine. Okay, we'll come later. Okay, girlfriend. All right, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay. So I just put on my Clinique makeup. What I do next, and I sometimes do this before I put on the Clinique just to make sure I keep that demarcation. I'm using some Fenty Beauty powder to kind of set or to set my under eye. But yeah, let's go back to what's been happening. So, been just really doing a lot of things. Been doing a little bit of traveling. Just recently got back from New York. Let's see, we went to Spain last May. So it's been about a year since we went to Spain. We're going to Italy this summer. And so I'm looking forward to that. But next summer, I don't think I want to go back to Europe. I want to go to somewhere where I can see people that look like me, more people that live there, like, Africa. I really do want to go to Africa. I'd love to visit South Africa. So that would be something amazing if I could go to Africa, Morocco, Marrakesh. Delta Vacations. I couldn't take advantage of it, but they had a flash sale, a trip to Marrakesh from, I think, Dallas, and it was like $50. I mean, something really outrageous like that. It's crazy. And I was like, wow, if only I could, do that. If I could be able to do that. As you all can see, I don't do a whole lot as far as getting my face, prepared for whatever color I'm going to add. I just really try to make sure that it is nice and even, and then go from there. So I have a mirror right here that I'm looking in, y'all. All right, but so yeah, that's been going on, and also it's Women's History Month, in addition to my birthday month, and I was asked to serve on a panel of some other super dynamic women from the fields of law, medicine, student leaders, and they wanted us to share information or share insights with younger women on what it's like to be a leader. Hold on. Be a leader in today's world, talk about some of the things that we as females deal with in that leadership space. And so I was really, really happy to be able to share with some of the younger women that were in the audience. And so one of the things that they asked us to kind of what do we do to support other women who are in overcoming any barriers that they may have, in this professional space. And I thought that was really such an important question, very, very important in supporting other women and really just being supportive, period. And so for me, I believe that we have to support each other, and there are some really critical ways in which we can do that. And one of those things for me as a career educator who's been in my career for now over 30 years is mentorship. I have been so blessed to have been mentored by some really dynamic women and men, actually, and not just African American women. I had some really dynamic Caucasian women to mentor me. They were just very open. I don't know if maybe they saw me as a project. I don't know. But whatever they saw me as, what I learned from them has been beneficial in my career. Just watching how they navigated those spaces. But one of my earliest mentors, of course, was my mother. She was such a quiet purveyor of wisdom. And the things that she taught me were so, you know, critical to my development and to my growth and to who I am today as a woman. As a woman, I'm going in with Coco Nadi. That's what I do next, to kind of contour a little bit. And so that was just really so influential. She was so influential. And I know you, most people, at least I don't know if most people can, but if you know you had a mother who was influential, you know what I'm talking about. She was so inspiring and full of wisdom, and she she didn't have a high school diploma, but she was so wise. She was smart. She knew how to carry herself and handle herself in society. From, you know, she had her own business of, you know, selling lunches, and she was a seamstress and just had so many talents, so many gifts. And I learned so much from her. So that was my very first mentor. And then as I grew up, there were other mentors who showed such grace and poise in spaces that I said, you know what, I want to be in those spaces. I'm a first generation college student, but I have been so blessed to be in spaces with some of the most dynamic individuals, uh, African American women and men, but actually African American women. And that has been so critical. So mentorship is critical. And on the flip side of that, you have to be someone who can be mentored. You know, you got to know you can't know everything, but supporting one another via mentoring and sharing what we've learned with the others, with the youngers, with the ones who are coming up behind us is so critically important. And then also sponsorship is important. Sometimes you got to get out there and say, I think this person is the person for this position, or have you considered this young lady? I think she has what it takes. Don't be afraid. There's enough room for everybody. So don't be afraid to share names and speak names of people in places that they may not have thought that their names would be spoken in. That's been my experience. Someone spoke my name in spaces that I had no knowledge of. They were speaking highly of me. But the thing is, I had to be prepared. So I'm a perpetual preparer of, things. Like I said in the session, leadership was not my goal. My goal was to be the very best me that I could be. And I did that through preparing, making sure that I embodied lifelong learning, all of those sorts of things. So this is Mocha Mami, Fenty Beauty's Mocha Mami, that I use as a blush. Because I just like that color. I like that. But yeah. Yeah, I am almost finished with my makeup. You wouldn't believe it. Yeah, I don't do much. I don't put on lashes. Now, when I had my makeup done, she did do lashes for me, but that has not changed. I know I've said that before, that I can't do the lashes, and I don't. I'm all right with that. But anywho, sponsorship. Yeah, you got to be able to do that. And then the other is intentional collaboration. Sometimes as leaders or as professionals, we work in silos sometimes, especially in my field of work. I'm an educator. I'm a associate professor, endowed professor of education. I have a degree in counseling, and so sometimes I'm working alone on projects, and it's important for me to be intentional with collaboration. Like there's a junior faculty member that I have been intentional about bringing her on board to things that I work on, because that's how we can support her. She's coming up, and I'm, already at that point where, I've been in the field now for 30 plus years, and she's been in the field maybe 5 or so. And so we're coming up, and I want to be able to collaborate and help her reach her goals. So those 3 ways, mentorship, sponsorship, and intentional collaboration, are ways that I really say that we can support women and each other in professional spaces so that we can be our best selves. Another question that they asked is they talked about how women oftentimes are juggling so many roles: their wife, their mother, their friend, their sister, and then they have their professional roles. And how can that be sustained without proper balance? How do you balance those things? And they wanted, how we've been able to do it. And what I said was, it took some time, but I finally figured it out. Yeah, there's no such thing as balance. Because balance means you're giving equal time, and you've balanced everything so that everything gets what it needs, equal time. Well, balance is not so much about giving everything equal time. It's about giving things priority and intentional time. Because sometimes work is going to require a little bit more, and you got to be able to adjust and shift and pivot to give work a little bit more. Sometimes home life is going to require. When my kids were younger, they needed more of me. They needed me around. They needed me to take them back and forth to the different events that they were in. They needed me. And so it meant that I had to be intentional about what I did and how I organized my life, and how I handled and approached different things in my life. I'm going to use the Coco Naughty as my shadow base. Well, before I do that, I'm going to just touch up the brows just a little bit. The brows are good. They're still doing well. I got microblading a couple of years ago, and so I got them touched up. It's been over a year now since I got them touched up. So I may be getting them touched up again in a few months. Oh, yeah, y'all see this? I got new earrings. I got a double helix piercing. So these two, and then I got this mid helix right here. I got that done at the end of December, and they are still sore, but I understand that the helix, these cartilage piercings, they take a little minute to, they take a minute to get well. But anyway, back to the shadows. Well, not back to the shadows, back to the eyebrows, y'all. Got to stay focused. Stay focused. But anywho, talking about balance. So you got to be able to prioritize, and determine what needs what part of you at that given time, and be intentional about it. Because if we are stressing on trying to give everything equal time, yeah, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. And you're going to end up, causing yourself unnecessary stress, unnecessary strain. You got to learn how to set boundaries, and don't cross those boundaries. Don't let things throw you off your boundaries. Sometimes though, people use that to a fault, right? It can be used to a fault, because sometimes people, that's not in my job description. I got to set my boundary. I am not doing that. Sometimes, if leadership is your goal, sometimes you got to do a little bit extra. Sometimes you got to go the extra mile, sometimes. And you got to be clear on how much of that is, necessary, and how much of it is just, your employer taking advantage of you. But yeah, I want to veer off on a tangent about that. But yes, setting proper boundaries and being intentional with the time that you give to tasks. Be very intentional about that, so that everything gets the time that it needs, so that you can stay grounded in your purpose. So balance for me, it isn't about doing everything, everything equally. It's more about doing the right thing in the right season with the right intention. you know, with the right heart, with the right intent. And that's going to keep me on task, keep me grounded, not going to allow me to become so burnt out, you know. And that balance may look like 80-20, or it may look like 60-40. And every now and again, it may be 50-50. But, you know, I am intentional about the way that I spend my time. And so that's, you know, one of the questions that they were asking us. And so another question was about skills and habits that, because we were talking to students, mostly undergraduates. And so what skills and habits they can begin to develop today that can help them in the future. Oh my goodness, so many skills and habits that you need to have. I mean, so many. First of all, discipline. Oh my goodness. One of my top 3 probably is having discipline. You need to develop discipline because, you know, motivation, you'll be motivated one day to do something, then the next day the motivation is gone. But will you be disciplined enough to stay consistent even when the motivation to do the task is not there? That is key because, you know, Denzel Washington said it best, and I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he was like, you can set a goal and achieve that, but between setting the goal and achieving the goal, there are 2 very important things that are going to be there on the path, and that's discipline and consistency. If you're not disciplined and if you do not remain consistent, you will just have set that goal and you'll never achieve it. And so start now, being disciplined to do what you got to do. I have, you know, that's for me as well. That's not something that you ever not have to cultivate, is discipline. You will always need to be, you know, checking in, making sure that you're being disciplined about, you know, tasks. For me, it's going to the gym and working out. You know, I said previously, like in a vlog some time ago, that I wasn't a gym girly. I've joined the gym again. Due to a friend, actually a coworker, and she and I decided, you know, let's go and let's start working out. Let's go to the gym. And that's another way of supporting one another, mentoring one another, being there for each other, you know, going to the gym. Oh, that I put in the corner is the Mocha Mami, the darker of the colors. And I just blend that in. And that's going to be all I'm going to do for my eyes. But yeah, another skill that is critical. And I think this is important. Communication, of course. You got to know how to communicate and not just text, not just on social media. You got to be able to talk to people and talk intelligently, talk, communicate effectively. Written communication is important, but also verbal. How, you know, talk to someone, look them in the eye, and you know, just really be able to verbalize what it is that you have to say coherently. This is the kilowatt. I don't know what this is. Kilowatt something, but it's Gingerbread Moscow Mule, and I am using um, uh, the Moscow Mule to kind of give me that little button nose situation. I do enjoy doing that. And I'm just going to blend that in. And yeah, I'm pretty much done. I am done. I'm going to do liner and mascara, and that's going to be it, and some lips. So I found this on the TikTok shop. I've used it so much the name has been wiped off, but it's a liner that looks like this. Can y'all see it? I don't know if you see it. But anyway, this is so cool because I like to do I do just a little bit on my waterline, just kind of like halfway across the waterline at the bottom, or 3/4 of the way. And then I do a tight line at the top, and that's like right underneath the top lid. So I go under here and go right underneath. And that's all I do for that. Okay. And I like the way that looks. And that's that on that. And then I'm going to bring my molds back with a little liner. I have 3 pretty prominent molds here, here, and here. And I'm going to bring those back just a little. All right. Skills. Back to skills. So communication. The other emotional intelligence. Oh my goodness. You know, you got to be able to be emotionally healthy. As someone who has a background in counseling, clinical mental health counseling, I can tell you that how you manage your emotions, wow, that's gonna matter more than how smart you are, honestly. How well you can manage your emotions. And so it's important to really ensure that you are self-aware. You're aware of who you are. You have empathy for others, and you show the professionalism necessary. And that will open doors for you. Trust that will open doors for you. Able to do those things. And the other is adaptability. Come on. In today's world that is ever changing, you got to be able to pivot. Got to master the pivot and you got to be able to adapt to the changing environment that may change very, very rapidly. And that's in social emotional intelligence and adaptability. That's gonna start going hand in hand, because when things change rapidly and you have to stop what you're doing, you got to be able to manage the emotions that come with that, and be able to still, get the job done and do what your employer needs. Those are all very important leadership skills. And one other thing that I shared was that you got to be teachable. you know we are not always the smartest person in the room. There is someone who knows more than us, and that is okay. Learn from that person. When I was growing up, I was always very, very quiet. I was always the one that was sitting back just listening. People thought that maybe I was just super, super shy, which to a certain extent I was. But more than that, I was just very observant. I listened very intently. Um, when someone would be talking about opportunities, rather than just, jumping in and putting my 2 cents in, I'm listening. I'm getting all the information and so that I can implement a plan that will work for me. So be teachable, master strategic listening, and all the other skills: communication, discipline, adaptability, and emotional intelligence. Those are some skills that I think young people and really everybody can develop to that are necessary to move far in life. Okay, so I'm putting on, this is the tubing mascara by Tarte. Um, does it work like it's advertised? I don't know if it makes my eye, because on TikTok you see the girls, they'll put it on maybe, and I've used the primer that you put on first. It does nothing for me. So it does not make me look like I have on fake lashes like the girls on TikTok. It does help though, help them look darker. But do they look like fake lashes? I don't think so. But I like it. I like the mascara. So, and if I took the time to really, does it look different? Does this eye look any different from that one? I don't know. If I took the time to really build the lash, I'm sure it would, because that requires you putting on a coat, letting it dry, putting on another coat, letting that dry, and then putting on another coat. I ain't got time for all that. So I'm going to put on my mascara. Yeah. Happy Women's History Month. Anyway. And so, yeah, one last question. They asked a bunch of questions, but one that I thought was really, really important what challenge have I faced as a woman in leadership and how did I overcome that challenge? And so I think it's important that for me, I remind if there was, say, someone I'm mentoring and they asked about challenges, I think for me, it's important to remind them that I was not in what would be considered a non-traditional field for a female. I'm an educator. You know, most teachers are female, unless you're a coach teaching history. But a football coach, that is, teaching history. But in the more leadership positions such as principal and superintendent and all that, you see a lot more males. Today there are a lot more females in those roles, but traditionally it was males in those roles. And so I never viewed my gender as being a challenge in getting into leadership, because leadership just wasn't something that I was aspiring for per se. I was aspiring for greatness in myself, being my best self. And so one of the biggest challenges for me was not external, it was internal. It was an internal challenge about whether or not I had done enough for me, whether or not I was worthy enough for me. Um, I think today the kids are calling it imposter syndrome. you know, Thinking that we are not worthy, we're not adequate. And we are indeed adequate. We have what it takes. There were moments that I questioned in my career whether I was ready for a certain position. There were some times because, like, I've gone to school, I have degrees, multiple. I have 2 masters, I have a bachelor's, I have a doctorate, I have lots of degrees. And that's one thing that African American women do. Baby, we're going to go to school and we're going to get that degree. Okay. We're going to show you. But that was one of the things, and I have certifications as a principal, K-12 principal, supervisor of instruction, currently about to sit for my CIP certification, um, my LPC, just all sorts of things that I just have to make time to do. I have what it takes. I just need to take time to do it. But I would still be wondering, am I ready? Am I ready? Have I done enough? And I have to stop that, because that's the biggest challenge for me. And the way I have overcome that challenge is, number one, I prepare. I make sure that I am prepared so that whenever the opportunity presents itself, I'm ready. I had the position that I'm in now. That was not on my bingo card. Being the dean of the grad school was not on my bingo card for that day. But there's something happened. There was an abrupt change in leadership at the university, and so there was evidently, like I said, names being spoken, sponsorship, mentorship, intentional collaboration. Name had been spoken in a room that I had no idea my name was being spoken in, and called up and said, you know what, we want you to step into this role. And I was like, at that point, I was shocked, but I knew I could do it. I had worked on preparing. I knew I could handle that. I can do this. And whatever I don't know, I can learn it when I get in there. You know what I'm saying? And so being very conscientious of the fact that I need to be prepared, I got to stay ready so I don't have to get ready. Yeah. So that's one of the ways that I've tried to, and it's a work in progress, overcome that challenge. Because like I said, the biggest challenge hasn't been as a female in a male dominated space. Now, I am moving more into spaces that were traditionally held by men, leadership roles in higher education specifically. And because the position that I'm in now was actually the incumbent was male. But, I just feel like I have to continue, um, you know, preparing myself. And so I stopped asking am I prepared or am I ready? And started asking myself, what value do I bring to this position? And that's where I am now. I ask, okay, what value can I bring? Because it's in there, you know, it's in there. I've learned that confidence is something, it's not something you wake up with. It is not, it is built. You have to build that confidence, and you build it through preparation, by every decision that you make, by staying strong and true and disciplined in the face of adversity. That's how you build that confidence. And um, confidence often follows action. So yeah, but those are some of the questions that were asked of us at the panel, and the students were so thoughtful in their questions. Afterwards, they really wanted to, you know, pick our brains, and I was so just really honored to have been asked to participate. Because again, I'm thinking I'm just doing my work, you know, I got my head down doing my job, and someone saw and they said, you know what? Dr. Jackson would be great to speak on her journey to leadership and how she, you know, has navigated those spaces. Now, something I did not do, you guys, because I'm running my mouth. I normally put on my setting spray before I do my lashes, because I don't want to blink and get black spots all underneath my eyes. So I'm going to put it on now and try to put it on very carefully. Okay. And this is the Laura Mercier, I think. No, this is not Laura Mercier. This is Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Matte Blur setting spray. Okay. So we're going to do that. Let that kind of dry a little bit. And I'm going to take my wrap off of my hair, because I don't know, I need to kind of get that under there where the scarf is, to make sure that, you know, there's no demarcation. Yeah. But you guys, if I have any subscribers, oh, and by the way, you all who stuck around for the 8 months that I was on hiatus, when I tell you, you are the best, you all are the best. I just appreciate you so very, very much for sticking around and for, you know, asking about me. Sometimes some of you follow me like on TikTok and Instagram. I'm a little bit more active on TikTok than I am anywhere else. You know, you may be a friend of mine on Facebook. And so you kind of ask, you know, when you're going to do the vlog, when you're going to do the vlog. Because I remember someone asked about the Spain vlog, and it was like, we're ready to see it. And I just never had enough time to sit down and do it. And so what I am doing now is being very intentional about my planning, setting some boundaries that I'm going to try my very best not to cross, because again, work-life balance, that's not a thing in my book. Work-life integration is more of a thing. I can integrate the two so that they work for me. And my hobby is doing these videos. And so I need to also make time for my hobby. And so what I'm going to try to do is on Saturdays, when I have time on Saturday morning, is to either record or edit video. I do record video all the time. I just don't have time to edit because I don't have a team to do that sort of thing for me. And because this is not like where I'm making any money at this time, I can afford a team. So I'm the team. I'm a one-woman show. I'm just putting on, this is the lip bar. What color is this one? This is Straight Living pencil. I'm just going to put this on, and I do like to kind of overline my lips. Just a little. Yeah, I have been recording on a GoPro. And so when I was getting my closet together and doing all the things and getting my rooms together and, you know, getting everything organized, because what happened was I took my husband's closet, because our closets were back to back. So I knocked that wall out and took his closet, so we had to make room for his stuff in another part of the house. And I think I may have packed my GoPro and put it in storage. Put it in my storage building. So I need to go over and see if it's in there because I can't find it. And I need to find it. But yeah, doing that. And then I just kind of do that. And honey, honestly, that alone to me is a nice lip color. Use the natural color of my lips with that liner. To me, I like it. And then maybe put on a little gloss at some point. But I'm going to put on just a little bit of this light color in the middle. This is, I don't even know. What is this? Artist Couture. I don't know what color it is. It's an old color. Just go inside. I'm not a makeup artist, so I don't do things like everybody else, but I've been doing my own makeup for, I started wearing makeup 50 years ago. No, maybe 40, 35 years ago or so. 35 years ago, something like that. 40 years ago, I don't know. I was in high school. And so over the years, I've kind of perfected a technique that works for me. There's a girl on TikTok that I followed that I went to high school with. She actually gave me a tip for my eyeliner, which I kind of still use today if I'm going to wear a liner. I don't like a heavy liner on my top lid. I really don't like a heavy liner, period, because it seems to make my eyes look really like closed up, not as bright as they could look. But this is the finished makeup look. Yeah. Put on a little gloss. This is something from Lancome. I don't know what color it is. I get a lot of stuff from my daughter-in-law. Did I tell you all that I have a daughter-in-law? My son got married in May last year. I'll pop up some pictures from that. But anywho, she is another influencer. My girls are really doing big things. They are on this internet, making it work for them. And she gets a lot of PR. And so she gave me that. That's one of the things she got from one of the PR things. I'm going to take this. I got this. This is from, I want to say Revlon. It's a mini palette. I don't know where the top is. I'm going to just put it right on the brow bone. Just a little on the brow bone. All right. So much for that, child. That's the makeup look. Thank you all so much for joining today and for sticking around. Before you go, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Anything else? I'm gonna try to put up at least one video a week, one video or a short a week. I'm not gonna commit to a whole bunch of different things like I did before because, you know, it may or may not happen. Like I just said, sometimes you got to give more time to other things. And I may not have as much time to record and all that kind of stuff. Y'all let me know what you'd like to hear me talk about. If there's anything, or if not, I'll just get on here and be yapping about any and everything. Like this hair of mine that I have been loving. Why wigs and that crochet hair, baby. When I tell you they came in a clutch, because when I used to have locks. I took my locks out last year because they just, I don't know, it just wasn't doing right. It seemed like when I lost weight and my roots got thinner, it's like the locks started coming out and I just felt like I couldn't take care of my hair like I needed to. So I took the locks out and I did a old fashioned micro braid installation with some Y wigs hair last year. Before we went to Barcelona, and I loved it. And so this is the same company but a different curl pattern. And this is, baby, this is my signature style now, I think. But anywho, I hope you all have a great rest of your Saturday. Get out and do something fun. Enjoy this beautiful spring weather. And I will be back chatting with you soon. Bye. Trying to get to a space where you can see the full outfit, and I don't know if you can or not. But anyway, this is that little viral Amazon dress that everybody was wearing, and I tried it on last year. I did like a little outfit of the day or night in it, and it's so short. It's so short. So I put on these little culottes that I got from TikTok shop, these camouflage culottes. And so I think it looks so cute. And so hubby and I will probably head out to a local eatery and maybe get a bite to eat and watch a little bit of the March Madness, perhaps. But yeah, this is it. Outfit of the day, and you can also kind of see what the body is looking like with since VSG. I had VSG in 2022, December of 2022. This is March of 2026. So almost 4 years, three plus years out. So this is it. But I'm gonna head out. Thank you guys for watching. Before you go, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I'd certainly appreciate it if you did. The makeup is still okay. I hope there's not a glare on this screen. I don't know that it is. Yeah. I'm gonna walk over here to some natural lighting. The way my house is not set up to record, right? It really is not. But this is more of natural lighting. Got a lot of light coming in from that door. So, all right, guys. Okay. Chat soon.